Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video we're talking about Nintendo Switch, Atari Jaguar, and more. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off here talking about arguably the biggest piece of news tonight. That's Nintendo Switch emulation on PC with Yuzu, and we talked about Yuzu yesterday, but some changes happened a little bit sooner than anticipated. As a quick refresher, yesterday we talked about the early access version of Yuzu getting a pretty big decrease in CPU usage, which is amazing. However, that did come at a bit of a cost. Yuzu no longer worked on earlier versions of Windows. You required at least Windows 10 or above. And fortunately for most people, unfortunately for some, those changes were already rolled out to the mainline version. Mainline 1362 has just released. There are some fixes here for Pokemon Sword and Shield, and there is that massive reduction in CPU usage in Windows. If you are using Windows and you're trying to use Yuzu, from here on out you need at least Windows 10. If you've got Linux, you're still okay. Yuzu still works on Linux. Overall here, I would argue that this update is pretty amazing, and if you are using Yuzu, you might want to check out the latest version to take advantage of that lower CPU usage. You might be able to squeak out some better performance. On a quick side note, if you are stuck on Windows 7 or 8, I would recommend checking out Linux. Linux is free, it's open source, you can always sideload it, and it will run the latest and greatest version of Yuzu. The two versions of Linux I recommend here if you're a newbie: Linux Mint and Pop! OS. Pop! OS if you are on a laptop, and if you're on a desktop, check out Linux Mint or even Pop! OS. And speaking about performance and also Nintendo Switch, next up we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation on Android with Skyline, and Skyline just got a brand new update. If you head to skyline-emu.1 and click on download, at the time of filming here, the latest version is 2074. It fixes swizzling regression and minor optimizations to swizzling. Swizzling stands for subscribe to Mr. Sujano. Next up, we're talking about Proton, and not the Proton that Steam uses, but Proton as in Proton VPN, Proton Email, and Proton Drive. Proton Drive has officially gone open source for both Android and iOS. Now, I currently don't use Proton, but if you do and you wanted to check out the GitHub pages, I'll drop links to both the Android and iOS GitHubs in the description below, so feel free to check them out. And speaking about checking stuff out, next up we're talking about Atari Jaguar emulation with BigPEmu. And BigPEmu just got a brand new update. At this point in time, I'm assuming most of you know that BigPEmu supports Atari Jaguar CD, and version 1.053 and version 1.054 have just released. We've got a whole bunch of bug fixes, and VLM CD plus G support is now working. BigPEmu is 100% free, and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. Feel free to check it out. And speaking about checking stuff out, next up we're talking about a decompilation project for Banjo-Kazooie on the N64, and it's currently sitting at 98.6934% complete. If you wanted to check out the GitHub, I'll drop a link to it in the description below. And interestingly enough, there's also a PC port of Super Metroid in the works. It's another decompilation project, and I'll drop a link to this GitHub in the description below so you can feel free to check it out. Next up, we're talking about Counter-Strike, and we talked about this one yesterday, but there's been even more developments since then, and even more proof we're going to get an updated version. Apparently here in the latest Dota 2 update, there is a lot of CSGO stuff about Source 2. If you are curious about it, I'll drop a link to this series of tweets in the description below. And last up here, this is more of just a heads up, but something I found a little bit interesting and also kind of concerning. It appears that AI are getting very good at emulating people's voices. It's not a major problem just yet, but in the future, I could see this causing a lot of headaches. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below, and let me know your thoughts about AI potentially replicating your voice in the future in the comments below. It's already happening to some people, and this could be a major problem in the possibly in the near future. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.